Welcome everybody, and it's really exciting to have you here today. So without further ado, I'm going to start by introducing Bernard, who we are thrilled to have as a corporate associate of the IMM Institute. And there are a couple of our corporate associates here. You'll also find a goodie bag on each of your chairs, and I want to thank Brent from Stratford Van Lines. I don't know whether I say Stratford Van Lines or whether I say Laser Transport, but yes, part of the Laser Transport group. So Brent, thank you so much for the notebooks that are in the goodie bags. Truly appreciated. And there's also some info on the SMME Hub that you will find in there. But as I said, to start with, I'd really like to introduce Bernard, who, as I said, is from our corporate associate Fire Juice, who have been with us for a couple of months now, and as I said, really pleased to have them on board. Bernard is the marketing consultant and founder of Fire Juice, an expert in marketing strategy, and over 20 years experience in brand management. 11 years of consultancy experience guiding SMMEs and startups, which I think all of you are going to find hugely beneficial today. Listening to Bernard address us, and after that we're going to have a discussion between a couple more of our associates. We've got Brad Watridge from Hot Mustard Africa, we've got Chule from Brainbow, and we've got Lethabo from Credible, who are all corporate associates of the Institute. And I'll tell you, those of you who don't know about the Institute, I'll also tell you a bit more about us a little bit later. But Bernard, thank you so much for your time and for being with us today. We also, at the end of the session, are going to be giving away 2 vouchers for a session with Bernard and another voucher for a session with Brad. So I think that'll be really beneficial to our SMMEs and our startups, and we're really excited about that as well. But Bernard, I'm going to hand over to you. Thank you so much.
Okay, everyone, thanks for having me. So, how should I yeah, so I've been a bit more about myself. So I did my, you know that somebody's done an MBA because they tell you. So I've done an MBA at Wits back in 2013, and there I did my kind of final dissertation on what I thought is the most difficult marketing job out there. And that is, you're a business-to-business company and you're a small company. How should you do marketing and branding in that situation? And I realized there's really a need for smaller businesses to get proper marketing advice. Strategic marketing advice that ties in with the actual business strategy, because that's really where you unlock value. And so that's my passion. I've struggled for a long time, and I'm not sure if I'm actually talking to my slides here, but it should tie in somehow. I've always wondered, now, what do I call these kinds of businesses I work with? Are they SMEs? Are they SMMEs, which is the South African term? Are they small businesses? Are they small, medium? Are they mid-market businesses? Essentially, I've kind of given up on terming these businesses or giving them a name. I should probably sit in front of these chairs. And I hope you don't mind me moving around a bit. But yeah, so I've given up. Look, they're not listed corporates. I don't work with those. I don't want to work with those, to be frank. I keep it really simple and hands-on. But it is this space of really small business all the way to what I would term a mid-market company. How do you brand? How do you market yourself? And the whole idea of entrepreneurship and entrepreneurial marketing is, I think, relevant to this whole stretch. There are, and within this space, some people don't like calling themselves entrepreneurs. Some see themselves only as business owners. So it's really a tricky space to define. But it's certainly a space where there is, and I've started to call them privately owned or owner-managed companies, where the owner is still around. There Their ghost is certainly still around in the building. Whereas if I look at Standard Bank, no one knows. Inside Standard Bank, I don't think anyone knows who founded Standard Bank. I don't think the founder of Standard Bank has any bearing on where the company is today. So that's really the space I'm in. Helping owner-managed companies accelerate growth through better marketing. And you know, everyone talks about growth. It's the hot topic, growth. But really, it's something that can be unlocked. It's not just a word. It's something that can be unlocked when you tie in what is the business trying to do, how do we build a brand around it, how do we target marketing and bring marketing into the picture and link it into sales. If you can get that as a golden thread, then you definitely do unlock growth. So, and that's why I use the term marketing strategy and execution. Fire Juice is not an agency. There's enough of them out there. It's me and my project manager, Dudu. We help with a strategy, which includes a plan, and it is practical because the word strategy itself is also a pain. Everyone talks strategy, and today I'll try and make it really practical. And then execution, really project managing your marketing. So that's a long spiel about slide 1. Now to get to slide 2. Tell me you've deleted my presentation. Maybe I should just keep using that again. I'll put the pointer down. Okay, so I'm going to stir a bit because that's my middle name. It's also why it's Fire Juice. It's also why I've got red hair, or maybe red hair, which is slightly fading now, but that's allowing me to stir. There's quite clearly a difference between corporate marketing and entrepreneurial marketing. The two things are not the same. This is not rocket science. You all know that, and probably that's why you're here. What happens in a corporate, you've got lots of data. Okay? What happens in a smaller business, in an owner-managed business, you don't have data. There's lots of data points, but you don't have enough data to spot the data trend. Okay? And so what you don't have in a small business is enough data to work with, to spot the trend, to then make decisions. Now this is a big idea, and it's a big idea because many businesses or many marketers obsess over this thing about data. Okay? They obsess over data. Data is a buzzword in marketing. What they don't know is that the small business don't know what to do with the data because they don't have enough to actually make sense of it. So that's a big difference between the two. The second one I've got there is that it's easy to spot trends. I've kind of alluded to that. The business is the brand versus the owner as the brand. Okay, I've alluded to that too. When you're a corporate, you depersonalize. Your brand is not a person anymore. Okay, that is even starting to happen with the company. I mean, can we have a marketing conversation without using the name Apple? No. But even now, Apple is slowly starting to forget about Steve Jobs. It's slowly starting to disappear in the history books. Okay? Google is slowly starting to forget about Sergey Brin and the other dude. So what you have in a corporate is the brand itself is on its own and it's got an identity that is mature. Inside an owner-managed business, you can't help an owner-managed company with marketing if you do not get along with the owner. Okay? You need to sit down with the owner. That is the brand, or at least a big part of where the essence of it lies. Okay? The competition is known, the competition is unknown. Big idea, big idea. Small businesses don't know who they compete against. And it's not a problem, it's normal. Okay? Why? Because your business haven't yet expanded to the edges of where you are starting to touch the competition. You are still so small that you can operate without resistance. Okay, so you'll find this a lot. You ask a small business, who are you competing against? And they'll bravely tell you no one. or they will tell you, I don't know, if they are honest, or they will, well, if they say no one, it's typically because they think they are so tremendously special that no one else out there is doing what they're doing. Meanwhile, they're guaranteed is someone, they just don't know who it is. So that's a big difference. Whereas if you're a corporate, you know who you're up against. You've been around long enough to know who you're bumping up against. Resource rich, and with resources it's money, it's people, it's processes, which is the next point. Corporates have resources, entrepreneurial businesses don't have resources. So you've got to make it work with what you've got. Right. By the way, you can ask questions. I know I sound very serious, but I am also very passionate and don't mind answering questions on this. But now I'm going to stir even more. There's a difference between an SME and a startup. There's a difference between an SME and a startup. Big idea. Big idea. Probably the biggest idea I've had in a long time. The two things are not the same. It's very cool, and I know what I wrote there kind of, so I'm not looking at it. It's very cool to call your small business a startup. It's not a startup. Your small business is a small business. That's what it is. A startup, as some of you may know, they're plentiful in America. You've got a lot of funding in your back pocket. You've been for an A round, a B round, a C round of funding. You've got a VC that supports you. They're sending money your way. And what your job as a business owner is to try and take that VC money, spend it wisely, and turn the business into an actual business. That's a startup. A SME does not have external money. You bootstrap. You do it yourself. You try and pull yourself up by your shoestrings. And so what you see here is that a true startup is actually very scarce in South Africa. Okay? You don't actually get many of them. There are a few that are true startups. And trust me, a startup, I've worked with a few, you got to buckle up. You got to buckle up. It's hiring, it's firing, it is indeed big budgets, but boy, the VC or the angel investor or whomever is giving that money isn't happy with what's going, they send you out the door. So a startup is not for the faint-hearted. Startups are use outside funding, SMEs use their own funding. Startup marketing is a combination of it's a combination of corporate marketing and speed to scale. Okay, so there's not too much of a difference between what a standard bank would do and what a startup would do. They both use big budgets. The one gets the big budget from their own cash generating operation, whereas the startup gets the big budget from an outside investor. The outside money for a startup is used to scale, and that scale is often called growth, and it's typically user growth. So you want to start getting as many people onto your email list, as many people to sign up for a trial, as many people onto your social media platform. That is what a startup tries to do. It tries to scale users. Profit is not a priority. Profit is only a priority if you're a corporate. Profit is also not a priority if you're SME. If you're SME, what do you do with your last cent? You pay it to yourself. Okay? You pay yourself a bit of money. You want to try and get away from profit because profit gets taxed. Okay? So there's a big difference between that, well, SME and startup and corporate when you talk profit. And then most startups in South Africa are bootstrapped, SMEs, trying to sound cool, but that's fine. You can call yourself a startup. Just know that half the stuff, and maybe this is my actual point, 3/4 of the stuff you see on LinkedIn, that you read about startups and how they do things, does not apply to you because you're not a startup. You're an SME. Okay? You don't have data. Even though everyone talks about data, don't ignore. You don't have it. So ignore it. Okay? Etc., etc. So understand something. What you read is written for startups. You are likely not a startup, so think different about how you do your marketing. Hopefully I'll give you the answer to that question. I know I'm leaving you a little bit adopted. What am I saying? Entrepreneurial marketing is business strategy. Big idea. I've got too many today. I should have cut this down. Big idea. Marketing is strategy when you're a small business. Marketing is strategy. You're essentially running a live experiment, trying to see if your stuff will sell. Now, you call that business, I call that marketing. You call that business, I call that marketing. You're doing a live experiment, you are putting word out there that you're open for business, you are doing your thing, you're making your stuff, you're putting sale, you're opening your shop, for the lack of a better word, and now you wait. Somebody coming to buy. Oh, today no one came to buy today. I'm starting to stress. What's going on? Do I need to change my price? Is my product not good? I guess with you guys, I don't have to tell you, marketing has at least 4 P's. Those 4 P's is business strategy. So, when you execute marketing in an entrepreneurial business, you are essentially talking business strategy with if you're a consultant like myself, there's no difference. I talk strategy with my clients because essentially, strategy is marketing in a small business. So I've got here, marketing is both, in both the SME and a startup, so there I'm lumping them together, is a live experiment in business strategy. These are some of the strategic questions, and they do relate to the 4 Ps. I hope I'm using this mic correctly. If I need to do something different, do tell me. And the problem is that despite being extremely useful as a strategy tool, most entrepreneurs don't take marketing seriously. This is big idea one, it's kind of a subset big idea to this one. So marketers give their marketing to a junior, or business owners or founders give the marketing to a junior. They look down at marketing. Marketing is seen as an expense, and so they don't give it enough attention. Meanwhile, it is the live experiment in actually getting the strategy sorted out. So, needless to say, I'm very much in favor for taking marketing much more seriously when you're a small business. So, I should slow down. This is my last slide, although it is a dense one. So, this is not, I would be wrong to say this is my thinking, although everything says I should brand this as the fire juice funnel. It's not. I mean, we all know that a marketing funnel is something that exists. This one has got a slightly, it's instead of what the AIDA model, it's got 4 things: awareness, interest, desire, and then what? Action. This is just engage, explore, which if you spell it with just an R, it's wrong. Engage, explore, evaluate, and then endorse. So this is a simplified funnel. Okay. Now, and I hope you all get this thing because that's the idea. It's a template that I dish out. You want to do the following for your business for next year. And this is the strategy and planning part. What you want to do is you want to set down what is your, I say the marketing objective, a later version calls it a business objective. What's your business objective with doing marketing? You want to pencil that in there. Somebody rightly asked me the other day, but that will always be sales. Sure, that's fine. Okay? If your objective with doing marketing is sales, which is probably the answer, then pencil in either an actual sales number, or if you don't want your team to see the actual sales number, then you put a growth number in there. But you can't expect marketing to deliver the numbers if you don't input the numbers. So I'm suggesting for next year, decide what is it that you want marketing to do for you. It doesn't, I must stop talking when I walk past that thing. It doesn't have to be sales. Your objective, again, I change it to business objective, not marketing objective. Your business objective with marketing could be something like better partners. It's time that we get better partners on board. We want to expand our network. We want to expand into a new market. We want to get into a new country. So it doesn't have to be sales, although ultimately everything comes down to sales. But fair enough. So pencil down your business objective. Then I'll get down to the simplified funnel. I know I'm jumping around a bit. Then, who are you wanting to market to? Just a simple question. You'd be surprised how many people don't have this answer. Who do you want to market to? Okay? That is your audience. Then, what do you want to tell them? That's the block there on the right. What should be your message? I mean, this is marketing, okay? Sure, there's product and price, but ultimately, let's be honest, this is about promoting. And promoting is about a message. So what should your message be? Okay, now you've got the strategy part of marketing done. That's marketing strategy. You've got your audience, you've got your message, you know what your objective is. Now you get down to marketing planning. Okay? The planning part of marketing is that funnel. A, the engage part at the top. We want to engage as many people that may possibly want to buy from us. They may not want to buy from us today, but we want to engage with everyone that's potentially in our market. Now that is a pipe dream, it's ideal. We can't all put our ad up as the Springboks jog onto the field to play the All Blacks, so it's very difficult to extend your reach as high as the top of the funnel. And so I'll get straight to it. As a small business, you should start from the bottom up, by the way. And the next layer is explore. This is people saying, you know what, I'm interested in what you're buying, and now I want to actually start to fish around a bit. Often this happens without you knowing it. Okay? People want to get analytics and data to tell them, oh, you know what's good going on. You don't know what's going on in the market at the top. You even don't know what's going on at the explore phase. People surf your website. They don't tell you they've been on your website. They don't tell you that you're on their radar. They don't tell you that they're thinking of potentially buying from you. So data and analytics is useless at the top. It's mostly useless at the explore phase. It starts to show up at the evaluate phase where they go and they say to you, listen, can we please have a meeting with you? Can you send us a proposal? I'll give some examples there. I don't know why the thing is, essentially my layout is a bit distorted here, but essentially at each level, and then the endorse phase. The endorse phase is they bought from you, and now you want to keep them in the loop. Some would debate whether loyalty is even possible, but you want to keep your customers loyal, and those that have worked with you, you want to keep them informed. But as a small business, as an entrepreneurial business, you want to work from the bottom up. You want to work from the bottom up, not from the top down. If you're a corporate, you work from the top down. Big idea. Okay? We can't start with our annual TV ad and roll it out. We need to start from the bottom and say, those people that is in our network, how do we keep talking to them? Right at the bottom. That's number one. Your marketing plan next year should be focused on working, talking, informing, connecting, reconnecting with people that you have a relationship with or have with. Then you work yourself up one and you say, right, what do my salespeople need to make a sale? How do we strengthen the very bottom of the funnel in our marketing, the very bottom of the purchase funnel in our marketing and sales operation? How do we make sure that we give the right information? How do we make sure that our brochures are up to date? Our stationery is ready. When somebody gets an email from us because they're interacting with us, they're already evaluating us, we must look professional. Okay, so our stationery, our offices, our logo, all the touch points that are physical become part of the evaluate stage. Explore one level up. And by the way, these can be debated. I know there's some good agencies in the room that may have different ideas, but your website, very much in the explore phase. Okay? Is your website giving the right information? Your organic social media. Okay? When somebody starts to follow you on social media, they're exploring. Google Ads, SEO, webinar. By the way, please note, Google Ads is not a top of the funnel activity. It's not the same as TV ads. Okay? Google Ads is something you run to people that are already looking. It's not something that you are throwing out there to those that aren't actively, currently looking. So, this is the funnel. Marketing strategy at the top. The funnel is the plan. You need to work your way from the bottom up. Each funnel stage is an objective, which you can look through. I've attempted to put some tools and tactics in for each funnel stage. Your job is then to select a few, a handful, not 20, 5, 3 strategic projects for next year, where you go, right, given what we've written down here, how are we going to raise our awareness in the market? What's the 1 or 2 things we're going to do here? No, it's time that we take our, it's time that we boost something on LinkedIn. Paid social media, I will put in the category of engage, because you can boost your social media to people that have never heard of you. So let's actually boost some of our social media stuff. Let's actually take some of our LinkedIn stuff, or our Facebook stuff, or Instagram stuff, put money behind it. You cannot do social media in this day and age and not spend money on it. Okay? If any one of you are still in the game of thinking organic social media will get you traction, I won't say wake up, that's too rude. So that's the engage. And by the way, even as a small business, you do need something in engage. You can't say, well, I'm ignoring phase, I'm ignoring the top of the funnel altogether. No, you need to have something, even if you work from the bottom up. Sorry, I know I'm going from bottom up to top down, but I think you get it. You need an engage thing in your business. You need an explore thing in your business. Again, not many things. How are we going to make it easier for potential customers to learn more about us? That's the question you want to answer. Okay? And then the following phase there with evaluate. How are we going to make sure that we win the sale? That we win the sale. And then finally with endorse, what can we do to stay in touch? So I think that this is a very simple, straightforward marketing strategy template, marketing planning template, marketing strategy and plan template, and you can even throw the word brand strategy in there. I mean, goodness, no wonder people are so confused, because we are so confused. But the brand strategy part is really what is our message. Okay, so this is, I think, what every business should have. And that's essentially how I make my money, because I fill in this. I come in with a piece of paper and pen, and we fill this in when I consult, and make sure that you actually stick to it for a few months, maybe a year, and then I get out, me and Dudu, and we go on to the next business. But this is my answer to the question, how should what's today about? Entrepreneurial marketing strategy. For me, this is the answer. And I think that's me wrapping up. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bernard. Greatly appreciate that. That was hugely informative, and I'm sure you've all taken a lot of value out of that today. Bernard, if you could take a seat, you can't run away yet. I'm going to ask Brad and Chule and Lethabo to come up and join Bernard.
So yeah, I'm a terrible facilitator, because I don't do the whole, you have to introduce yourself, because I don't even know who these guys are. And I think you guys are here for information, right? So I want to do it a little bit differently. So if you have a question, raise your hand and I'll facilitate the question. But ask as many questions as you can, because, like Miriam, we need a question from you, please. I know these guys are the audience, hope. But Bernard, you spoke about strategy.
Yes.
Is it expensive? Can we afford it as SMMEs? Can we consider?
Depends whether you want to work with me. Yes.
The mic, right?
I don't need the mic necessarily. I'll speak up a bit. Strategy costs you nothing if you have a good whiskey by your side, you have my template ready, a pen and paper, you know your business well. I think it's a case of doing it, and most don't do it. So strategy itself is free. Where you need to, when do you need to spend money on strategy? Because you can probably do it yourself. It's when things get complex. So yesterday I was in a business where I'm helping them with their strategy. They recently merged. The two companies don't see eye to eye in terms of who they are and why they're now suddenly sitting in one building. And so they're having a hard time. Actually, we should keep that other slide up. They're having a hard time answering the message question. because they don't know what their message should be now that they're a merged business. So when things start to get a bit complex, you want to, you've got two brands and you don't know if you should have two or one. So you only need outside help when you feel things are a bit too much for you. But otherwise, strategy is free.
Yeah, I think it is free, but I think there's a lot of us that don't know, like, what are the next steps, right? So you want to start a business, what do you do next? Or you want to employ someone into your business, how do you grow your revenue? I like simple things. I feel like we don't know how to do that. And then we turn to social media for answers. And like if you have a sickness or a symptom and you go to Google and you ask Google, you die. Same with your business. You go to Google and say, listen, I need a strategy, I need more revenue, and it's like, my word, I'm dying. So, Lethabo, what do you think? How can we as small business owners approach strategy? If we have limited budget, it's 11 o'clock at night, my debit orders are going to bounce, what do you do? Can you hear us, guys?
Yeah.
Can you hear us?
This thing's weird. I feel like karaoke. I swear.
Okay, I'll just try to use mine. So thank you very much. I think the most important thing to ask yourself is like, I think like Bernard touched on is like, what is your objective? What are you trying to achieve? I think that determines what kind of strategy you're going to put in place. And also, like, to be frank, as a small business, I mean, I consider myself a startup, so we're a startup at Credible. And it really goes down to, number one, what are the key objectives you're trying to achieve as a company? As a small business, your lifeblood is revenue. All of that other stuff is, the bells and whistles and the awareness, but you know that you need to get more customers and make more money. And I think in determining sort of like, how to approach developing your strategy or how to do it with no budget, there's a lot of cost-effective ways to actually execute that. I mean, one of those ways is actually one-part building, and the endorsement part is if you've got customers that you're already working with, how can you leverage a referral strategy? Because that could be free or it could be partially subsidized. Maybe you can offer an incentive, but you know that you're going to make that money back. And so there are a lot of different ways in which you can explore how you approach that. And I think it's really about what's the end goal. End goal, getting more customers, making more revenue. Okay, how do we start to build out the customer journey to get into revenue from all the way at the top of the funnel, all the way up until when the funnel gets to your front door? What's the customer experience that you're going to create to convert that lead? And I think sometimes, I've seen in our space, we connect customers to a lot to digital talent. A lot of them can be in digital marketing or in the marketing space. And a lot of the times customers will say to us, look, I'm looking for, to get more customers, or I'm looking to get social media, I want to do social media campaigns. And what I always sort of like, challenge them and ask them when it comes to that is, what is the end goal? Is it more awareness? Because that's also okay if that's the objective you're trying to achieve.
Is it okay though? I mean, isn't it, as small business owners, aren't we chasing revenue? I mean, how do we pay our bills, right? We've all been in debit orders, right? If I say show of hands who had bounced debit orders, he's going to be honest, right? Yeah, it's like let the best debit order win. Yeah. So, but from your perspective, it's all about making the money, right? And you built your strategy around that. How did you do yours?
So, I think the best approach, or what's worked for us, is how do we keep it simple? Because it can get a bit confusing, especially as a founder-run business. You're juggling many things. So your attention is being pulled in so many directions. How do you keep your strategy simple and achievable so that it's not something you've now written in a beautiful document and it's an Excel spreadsheet and the SMART goals, and then now when the debit orders are jumping on your head, you've forgotten all about it, right? So how do you keep it simple, but also how do you emotionally engage with your strategy? Because human beings are emotive beings at the end of the day. We don't respond well just to a document. There needs to be an emotional connection to the strategy. Yes, the fuel that you're going to need so that you keep going back to it to say, are we still going in the same direction we had planned out to go is this the right direction? Is this getting us to our emotive goal, which will hopefully get us to the money goal that we're looking for as well? Because you're going to need that fuel when the debit orders are bouncing, right? How do you keep going and focusing on the strategy when the customers aren't coming through the door now? So your why becomes very, very important then. Why did you start this business? What is the goal that you're trying to how are you trying to connect to people? For what reason? It can't just be about solving a problem.
But I kind of find that sometimes what we do is we focus on the money and what the money can do for us, and it can give us presence, but we don't actually focus on the connection. If you really think about it, we're all small business owners here, right? So connecting with each other makes that deal a lot better. If I go to Miriam and say, hey Miriam, I'd love to do flowers. Miriam does amazing flowers, guys. Please use Miriam. Miriam, I'd love to do a bunch of flowers. Look, I don't have a huge budget. It's for a corporate client. Can we work together? Miriam is not going to run a business at a loss, but we are going to be able to engage, and Miriam's going to get the sale from you. And I think we lose that. We're too scared to say we're SMMEs. We're almost shy. But we actually need to be a little bit more vocal around that and be a little bit more steadfast and more demanding from the big corporates. They've got to respect us more. You had a question, Sunshine?
Yes, I just wanted to ask, we spoke about email marketing in your presentation. So I just wanted to know, in terms of generating leads into your funnel for your email marketing, right? A lot of people I've noticed use free products, or perhaps like a template, just like a taste of, for example, what you offer, just to give people an incentive to sign up to your email. Because I believe that marketing is boring things done really well over a long period of time to build those sorts of connections, right? So are you diluting the quality of your email list by giving away something for free?
Oh, you mean this?
He's doing it, guys.
Sorry.
First of all, let's start with email marketing, okay? Because that's, I don't know if that's the weird cousin in the corner. You know what I'm saying? So what do you guys think of email marketing? Still valid, done the right way, positioned correctly, still a tool we can use as small business owners hitting a database?
No, I think there's two sides of it, is how I see it. There's obviously ice cold email, which is a sales activity, a sales outreach activity, and that's very technical, and you don't want to land in a spam box. And I would suggest you use a professional, if I can call them agencies, to do your ice cold sales outreach. But to your point, I think, Brad, having a database of people we've interacted with, they're either past clients, present clients, people that have met with us, who have signed up to our email list, that I think is hugely valuable as a way of staying in touch. It's this engaged part, and I think I do talk about email as the endorse part.
Okay. So what's your take on that, Brad?
Yeah.
You've got a big voice.
I'll try myself. So I think from my perspective, I agree with what Bernard is saying. And I would also add to that it also depends on the right combination of channels that you're going to use to reach your audience. Not everything is like material to every business. I think from the email marketing space, that is the one opportunity. Yes, the technical, cold emails, spammy type emails. There are things that you can do, and as a small business, you can also explore and investigate what are those things that I can do to avoid ending up in people's spam boxes. But that's if that's a channel that it makes sense for your business. And I think that's the one thing that you have to determine. But if you are leveraging it, especially as a small business, I think it's a very unique opportunity to build a community. And I think if you approach it from that perspective, and it's about building community, how can we, because that's where you also get the people who become the advocates of your brand. And it's not approaching it from the perspective of trying to sell you something, but it's approaching it from the perspective of trying to create value for that audience. And how can you keep them engaged? How do you keep them top of mind? yes, once in a while you can throw in a new product or two that you'll be launching in a few weeks or whatever it is, but it's to also generate that engagement and that excitement. And I think the one thing, regardless of what channel you use, you have to pay attention to is like, what do the analytics say? What does the data say? What is the content that you're creating with your emails that's getting more engagement from you? Are people resharing your content? Are they, commenting in your posts? Because that gives you the key on like what to focus on from a value creation perspective, and that allows you to actually build a community around that, because when people are sharing your content, it's creating more traffic potentially that could come your way, and I think that's my view on that.
So I also think that your customers are not weekend specials. I think there are people that you want to keep in your fold and keep communicating with, even if they don't take your service straight away. Build that relationship with them via maybe using an email service or using your social media. That returning customer is actually quite essential and can form part of your revenue base. Do you agree, sis, with that?
I do. And, this year, personally, I was on the verge of like this entrepreneurial thing. I don't know if I still want to do this. And my husband, literally, he's also an entrepreneur, and he was like, I'd rather my business close down than Brainbow close down. And then he asked me, what is the smallest sweet that you can give to someone as a way to start that relationship? And I was like, dude, don't make me, I've been pivoting. I've been like thinking of all the different things that I can do. But then when I calmed down, it's like, okay, the thing that we can offer people, for example, is like the Ubuntu workshops that we do, which we had not, it was not a focus on building that a community around that service. And as soon as we made that decision, then we realized that actually we have so many people that we can reconnect with and connect with under the banner of building Ubuntu, understanding that we are interconnected with each other. How can we leverage and create value for one another that will create a ripple effect of value? And when it was coming from that point of view that we are actually building a friendship, we're really building a connection. It didn't feel, and I'm going to use a spicy word, it didn't feel prostitute-y, which is how it was kind of feeling a little bit to me. But once I was able to change my mind about it, to say, no, I am building community, I am building Ubuntu with this other person. How can I help them grow what they're doing, what they're giving birth to, and the contribution that they want to make? Then it felt different.
And I also think we underestimate the value we bring to a market. So whether we're a specialist in HR with Kulani in the back there, Kulani's playing in a very competitive space where there's huge corporates. But what I love about Kulani, she shows up very proudly positioning her business where it should be. And that mindset plays a huge role, I believe, in bringing us closer to strategy. So back to the beginning. So we have strategy, right? We're all clear on how do we approach it. Do we contact Burnout straight away, or do we solve it internally first? What are the fundamentals, Burnout, that you're looking for before the SMME comes to you? What must they have? I want to say shit together, but must they have their stuff together, or they just come to you all crazy and then
I'm trying to think. By the way,
it's on your budget.
No, I work with any size business. That was I actually, my prices are on my website, so I'm quite extreme by telling you what I charge. So I give you a quote before you even ask me. Because I work with small business, I mean, you want to know what's this going to cost. No, the kind of businesses that come to me are either in dire straits or very ambitious. That's what I figured out.
Most of us yet today. We like it, that's me.
But the guy that just, it's not just guys. Businesses that are hovering, they're cruising. They're not looking for answers, they are happy. They either yet to hit the turbulence or they passed it and figured things out for themselves. So the kind of businesses that come to me are the ones where they do wake up at 4 a.m. in the morning because they're stressed, or if you meet 3 a.m. Or they are seeing a gap and boy, now they need to take it and they can't sleep because they're so excited. So you come to me when you have trouble sleeping. Either because things are about to crash, or because you are so excited you can't shut your eyes. Then you realize you need help.
So, speaking about pivoting, changing subject very slightly, social media tends to tell us what our businesses should look like, what a successful SMME looks like. Should we be listening to them, pushing for the Bentley when we just want the Toyota?
You know,
And you know why I'm asking you this question.
I guess. I think the reality of it for me, it always goes back to, you know, what kind of business are you? What is your objective? Who is your customer? How can you reach your customer? What's the most effective channels to reach your customer? There's this new concept that I came across recently. I think they call it the product, market, model, and then channel. And regardless of what you're selling, you know, you've got to understand your customer as a starting point. I think before you even develop your strategy, who are you speaking to? What do they look like? What is this person's, you know, they call it the persona of this customer? What does it need to look like? How can you craft your consumer journey to interact with them at all of those different touch points? Once you understand your market, then it goes to, okay, how do I get my product, you know, to reach that person with the right channel in a way that works for my business model? Because again, it almost speaks to the 4 Ps of marketing in a way, but what you have to understand is, who's my customer? Where do I find them? How do I reach them? And how do you backward map your approach or strategy to reaching them? And I think if you figure that part out, then all of the iterations you'll do in the process is about how to optimize to either reach more of those people or, you know, retain the existing ones that you have.
Knowing your customer, do you know your customer very well? How much time do you
She
spend?
even has a name. Her name is Angela.
Oh, that is so super cool, man.
And Angela is a very busy lady. She has many balls in the air. She
Is
is,
there a couple of Angelas here?
yeah, no, there's definitely
More on
some
this side.
Angelas and Angelos in the room. And it's very important to know who are you trying to build a relationship with, because you need to understand, do you have the bandwidth? So our customer journey is quite long, typically because of the fact that the person we're trying to reach is so stretched already. And we come in at a point where they really need support. And so getting them to trust us, it's quite a long process. But because we understand the end goal, which is we want you, Angela, to shine. We want to take one thing off of your very full plate. It makes it, you are able to be more patient with the process, even though the debit orders are not patient with you at the same point. But it is very important to know who are you building a relationship with and why. Why are you trying to build a relationship with this person? Is it just about money, which is fine, but you need to understand why you're building this relationship, because you're gonna need fuel to maintain it. You're gonna need fuel, you're gonna need that why when the relationship now is on the rocks a little bit.
Yeah, I totally agree. So, yeah, maybe you've got a question.
Not a question, but
Please speak.
I
Yeah.
made a few notes of, we've also worked with a few SMMEs and just practical stuff, because I think, you know, if you're a marketer, we have a lot of jargon and, you know, things that we speak about that's not practical, like what must I physically now go home and go and do. And so the first thing that I think is to always be truthful in what you promise, you know, because if you promise something and you under-deliver, you know, you won't get that customer back again. And with that goes reviews. Go and ask your good customers to give reviews on Google, on Facebook, on all those places, you know, and to share your content. So be responsive at night. Lie on your bed and respond to your Facebook messages, your LinkedIn messages, your everything, everywhere on social media, because people expect an immediate answer. It's unfortunately the way that things go. Tag people in your social media posts. Even, you know, so if you have a customer, ask them if you can tag their account. And learn how to use hashtags properly so people can search and find.
But all these things you're mentioning now, are you available 5 minutes afterwards for people to come ask you questions, get your insight around that?
Yeah.
Because this is what it's about,
Yeah.
right? We're all helping each other. But, like, I don't know, how would I know what hashtags to use? When I'm just saying, where do I start? I think these are the questions that some of us have.
Yeah.
So I think the key for this session is that the answers that you're struggling with or that you have in your mind right now is actually the answers are sitting in the room here by the individuals that are sitting next to you. And this is the whole purpose about the vision with Irene and what this institute wants to do, is have these sessions regularly where we can share insights with each other, because I can tell you, I'm terrible at finance. I'm a creative guy. I'm not sure, Brendan, how you at finance, Brian?
Well, I use Zero, which doesn't use finance terms.
Okay, there we go. So, we all have our specialities, and that's another thing about owning a business. You don't have to be proficient in everything. You can mess up. You can make mistakes. You're a single person doing 100 different departments. So it's normal to mess up and make a mistake. It's 100%. But rely on the people around you. So in this room, we have someone from finance. We have a creative guy. We have a visual person. We have all the talent is sitting in this room. Teresa is here. Dennis with PR and getting your brand out there sitting in the room. Go and chat to these guys, ask them questions, and that'll give you a lot of insight. So by the time you go to Bernard, which I think everyone in the room should be making an appointment to go and see Bernard, and he has because that is how we grow business, is by doing this. It's not these fancy conferences where they, all protocol is being observed. That doesn't bring money into your bank. These sessions where you can go to someone and say, listen man, I'm struggling, I need your help as a florist, but I don't have a lot of budget, what can I do? Miriam is the perfect person to talk to. I need to employ someone in my business, Kulani, can I have a coffee with you and you can help me? Kulani will give up her time.
I'm bribable by coffee.
Coffee or party or whatever. She's looking for a guy with a Bentley if anyone's
I also want to add, especially in the world that we're living in today, because we are living in the information age and there's a lot of resources available online to help you figure out some of these things. I'd also say, guys, don't be scared to use ChatGPT. Like,
What's that?
use it as your co-pilot, use it as your assistant. That thing can help you figure out some of the most complex things that you're trying to figure out. Even coming up with a basic strategy to get 5 more, 10 more, 100 more customers. It can help you configure that. So you also don't have to find yourself feeling like all of the answers are out of reach. I know sometimes, even when you search stuff on Google, things are hidden within blogs and some things are just repetition on repetition. Some things take time, but there's also more efficient ways to get some of the answers that you're looking for. And I think don't be afraid to explore that. A lot of these tools are free. There's like many different kinds. There's ChatGPT, there's Copilot, there's Gemini. Even things like, okay, I want to do a social media strategy. Let me come up with some copy for my social media strategy. You can ask it to say, these are the objectives I'm trying to achieve. Give me some lines of copy in a social media schedule. You'll add a bit of your personality because that's what makes you unique.
So what do you then add on top of the AI?
On top of the AI. The key is to use it as a tool to support you to create more efficiency, not to replace you.
And please change your S's to Z's to S's.
So the key is to use it as a tool to support you, not to replace you.
Yes.
And if, for example, you want to come up with a strategy, yes, it'll come up with a basic framework, but do your own extra research. Because again, for example, it's things like some of the terminology that you might be looking for that is used in some of these spaces. If you're not using the right search terms, you're not going to find the information you're looking for. And so even from a framework perspective, you can say, ChatGPT, how can I put together a social media strategy to get more leads to my website? What does that look like? It'll give you a basic framework and you'll do your own research and say, okay, what are my potential competitors doing? Because you have to actually see what your competitors are doing, see what's actually making them win. And obviously you may not have an insight into the back end of their analytics, but you can see from social media posts what content they're creating that's creating the most traction for you, for them. How can you sort of position yourself closely or similarly to align or separately to sort of take up the space that you want to take. And so that's why, for me, is use it as something to support you with some of these tasks that maybe might take a lot of time that you don't have as a small business owner. And like leverage it to do that, and then you add a little bit of your personality and your source to it, and you move. And I think it's as simple as that. Nothing has to be so far away.
After a couple of drinks. Guys, we ran out of time.
We ask Hope and Paul and Kulani to come and swap seats with you. And they're just going to tell us in 3 or 5 minutes maximum. They are, in their own right, each very successful SMMEs. And they're going to just quickly share with us their story and how they did it. So thank you so much. Thank you for being here. And thank you. Can we start with you, Kulani?
Yeah, sure. Good morning, everybody. My name is Kulani Shimani. I run a HR enablement consultancy called Shiluva. We are 7. And sure, started out as a side hustle. Decided in 2019 that I was going to give up my job to make Shiluva work. And then the spicy flu came. And it was fantastic because we were busy. Because a lot of people needed help in terms of how to manage people, how to navigate that particular process, etc., etc. Past 7 years have been ups and downs. I like the understanding your why component of things. I have 2 whys. The one, I like expensive things, Prada, like I work for Prada. 2 is I'm a single mom to a neurodiverse child, so he's another reason why. Actually, I have 3 whys. And the third one is we spend too much time at work to be unhappy. So I help organizations to make their workplace happier, healthier, allow people to thrive so I can buy Prada and peaceful peace. And if I was going to give anybody some advice in terms of your entrepreneurial journey, is that find community and build community with other people that run their own businesses that are entrepreneurs. Because when I want to have a cry and moan about clients not paying me, I will pick up the phone and have a conversation with Brad and tell him as well. And also, I like what Bernard said about us not understanding our competition. Don't focus too much on that. I'm not too worried about what my competition is doing. I'm just doing what I'm doing. And in doing that, I've built my community. I understand my customer base. We've been able to do business with what you would call startups, but all the way up with some of the big banks, some of the big consulting agencies as well. And I don't think I would have been able to do that if I was too worried about what LabourNet is doing, if that makes sense, right? So just, focus on what you're doing as well and have fun. Have fun. One of our values at Shiluva is to have fun. The work that we do is very serious. You go into organizations to implement a Section 189, that's very serious. People are about to lose their jobs. But you find ways to have fun. And if you're having fun doing what you're doing, then, it's a reason to wake up. Well, in addition to Prada. And that's it for me. And yes, I am looking for a gentleman of the Bentley. Paid off, preferably.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that with us, Kulani. While we carry on with the other 2 special guests who are going to tell us their story, Chantal has got a big orange bowl. I'm going to ask all of you who are SMMEs or startups or whatever we want to call them to please put your name tag into the bowl, and we're going to draw our prizes after we finish the session. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Paul Masilo from a company called Fresh Brands. We are the first company in Africa to manufacture a mouthwash. Yes. The story of Fresh the story started in 2016, very short version. I will show you the journey of Fresh started a mouthwash packaged in this sachet. This was my first sachet, because what we did is we wanted a mouthwash to be packaged in a sachet so that it's convenient for you to carry around. Because remember, in South Africa, between 15 and 20 million South Africans suffer from bad breath, and it's a conversation that people are not comfortable to engage in. So from this sachet, we went into this sachet, and at the present moment, we are sitting with this branded sachet. Initially, when we started, our mouthwash was being packaged in something like this. Now, the journey is here. We currently, recently, I think last month, September, we got an approval to be listed at ShopRite. We actually exporting to Zimbabwe in small quantities. Actually, this morning, I was actually delivering some boxes that are going to Zimbabwe for export. And one of the things that I always say to entrepreneurs, please get a mentor for your business. If it's possible, get maybe 2 or 3 mentors who are specialists in a certain field, because I've got about 5 of them. And one is a specialist in finance, the other is a specialist in what, and I'm able to tap into their expertise. All the things that, most of the things that we've achieved as a business, by the way, I work with my 2 sons and we are just the 3 of us. You know. But from the relationship that I've got with my 5 mentors, we have achieved a lot, because this design actually, it came from the network of one of our, we call them a board of advisors at Freshman. She referred us to a specialist and actually negotiated a price that was quite reasonable, because you spoke about that we don't have resources. You know. So imagine from this, up to here, really it must have taken a lot of effort, So I want to encourage each and every one of us to get yourself a mentor, and as a Merry Christmas to everybody, we are going to give you each one a sachet of things. Thank you.
Very inspiring. Thank you.
All right. Hello, everyone. I'm going to try and do a 2-year story into 3 minutes. All right, my name is Hope Ramoshu. I'm a qualified CA. I've got 30 years experience in the financial sector, mining, insurance, banking, audit, and risk. So my journey started around August 2022. Basically, what actually happened was myself and the church ladies decided to do self-care. It was the month of August, and we decided let's actually do self-care. We went for mammograms and the works. So on that particular day, on the 12th, I went for a mammogram. I usually would go, and it would take me about 10-15 minutes and be out. That particular year, 2 hours later, I found myself, I'm still in the doctor's rooms. And you can see they coming in and going, and then I like, okay, is everything all right? They're like, no, don't worry, everything's fine. In the end, they then said, we recommend that we do a biopsy, do you mind? I said, no, let's please go ahead. The result came out on the 15th of August, and they confirmed that I had breast cancer. Stage 3, metastatic, invasive metastatic at 67% growth. I was scared. I thought this is the end, when it was discovered. But I then decided, I spoke to my doctor, and the prognosis was good. He said, look, it's treatable, remain positive, and let's see where it takes us. So I then decided that, I asked God, God, what is my purpose? What do you want me to do? What did I do wrong? I spoke to my family. I had a lot of support from my family. But out of all of that, I actually went for treatment. I had 16 sessions of chemotherapy, including 4 red devil. They call it the devil, and it is the devil. 12 textile. I had the works. I had the surgery, I had the reconstruction, I had the radiation, I had the human treatment, I had all of it. The folio of the head, everything, I've been there. But all of that, I then decided this pain must be for purpose. So I then asked God, what is my purpose? And I redirected my purpose to create a center called Hope, Wellness and Empowerment, which is where I'm actually wearing the t-shirt today because we launched on the 5th of October this year. We actually launched. So I was calling it a startup until Bernard described what a startup is. So I suppose I'm not going to call it an SMME. So my purpose with that is the aim is to really help those that are either going through the same journey or anybody that's facing either an addiction or a life-threatening sickness. So I learned a lot of things because I actually decided to have a small little book where I was writing down everything, the do's and the don'ts, and. So I've actually got a whole booklet of what actually happened. And I came up with the kit. So I'm going to be selling those kits. So I've actually come up with a Hope Wellness kit that helps you through the different, the different sessions, because I attended all of them. So I know exactly what it is that you need to eat or do or use during that time. So my rejection at the time was redirected to the Hope Wellness Center that you created. So wellness is made up of 8 dimensions. I'm decided that I'm going to be focusing on the 4, with the overall nutrition being the main one. So the 4 being the financial wellness. Those are very, very important. Okay, it's important that financially, when you're going through this, you need to be financially well. Financial wellness, the emotional wellness, the spiritual wellness, and the physical. The whole support groups, the community groups that Kuleani spoke about. Yeah, those are the things that you really need when you're going through this. So also, I've also decided that, like part of the physical, instead of maybe gym sessions, will help our patients to actually go, with their treatment timetables, check up on them, help them make sure that they actually go, or do they have somebody helping them to go to get to the hospitals and all of that. So as you can see, it is a startup, and I'm trying to speak as much as fast as I can on this to actually not waste time. What we are looking for is that we are looking for partners. Anybody that can help us to, let's collaborate, work together on this, fund us resources to actually make the center grow. I've actually had the experience, and I'm very willing to actually share. One thing that I want to find out from you, did you know that if you are a cancer patient, that you find that you actually cannot wear a safety belt if you've got a chemo pot? It's a risk. You gotta get caught because you're not compliant, and then you can get into trouble. But you can't, because it is painful. So I think I'd like to leave you with that note to say thank you for the opportunity. Thank you very much, Brad, for having invited me, and thank you for the opportunity to talk. I am hoping that we can have another session, a longer version, where I'll really be able to actually share the proper experience with you. Thank you.